Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the Boxhard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scotty.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the Boxhard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 73 of the Boxhard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. We've got him back. He wasn't here last week, but he's here this week. I'm joined as always by Mr. Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, my friend. Very good. It's good to have you back. Now, this is going to be quite a juicy show. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to review from last week. There's a lot to preview this week as well. So we're going to dive straight into part one, being the review part. We're going to dive straight into that. We're going to try to get through this as quick as we can. But as I say, there's a lot to go over. So we're going to start with a card that took place in the... Well, actually, in Japan, in the Kokujikan. I don't know where that is or what that is, but it's in Tokyo. One fight to mention over here, Thursday the 2nd of March, so last Thursday, a week ago today, Shinsuke Yamanaka defended his WBC World Bantamweight title successfully. He recorded a TKO win in the 7th round over his opponent, Carlos Carlson, who had a record of 22-1. So Yamanaka now proceeds to 27-0 with 2 draws. You know, he's getting a better fighter every single time he steps in, you know, underneath the lights. So a good win there for Yamanaka. That's it for Thursday. That's it for Japan. Moving over now to one fight that I've got to mention over in the Devonish complex in Belfast, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom. Stephen Allman picked up his 24th career win with a TKO in round 1. His opponent was down... It was actually I think the referee waved it off, but I know that he was down before the referee waved it off. It was a body shot. It was a left hook, I believe, to the body that put Stephen Allman's opponent down. So a good knockdown, a good win there for Stephen Allman. But that's it for that one. Moving over now to Poland. I'm not going to try to pronounce that venue, to be honest. Matthias Masternak, 37 wins and 4 losses. Former opponent of Tony Bellew. He stepped in there against a guy who had a record of 9-2. The guy's name was Alexander Kubic. It was an 8-rounder at cruiserweight. Matthias Masternak picked up the win here, so his new record, 38 wins now and the 4 losses. Now moving over to the big one. And I've got to say, it was the big one of the weekend. I know that there was the other bill in America that we're going to talk about in a minute, but the big one, the drama show in the O2 Arena, Greenwich, United Kingdom, London, of course. I usually start with the undercard on the bigger fights, but I think we're going to start with the main event. Tony Bellew, 28-2 with 1 draw. David Haye, 28-2 with 0 draws. Most people saw this as a Haye win. Most people saw this even as a Haye knockout. I am one of those people, to be honest. I had a bet down that Haye was going to win between, round 1, 2 or 3. I got to hold my hands up and say that I thought that David Haye was going to win this fight. I thought he was going to stop Tony Bellew, and I thought that he was going to jump on him pretty early because, there is that question mark over David Haye's gas tank. Now, no one could have predicted the way it went. It was a crazy fight, to be honest, Ayaz. I'm going to throw it down to you before I give my opinion. I know that you were watching that fight. What did you make of it, Ayaz?
It was a good fight, yeah. From the first round, David Haye wanted to knock out Tony Bellew, and you can see Bellew just jabbing him, right? And Haye was giving him with his big punches, and it was still not knocking out Bellew. But after the 6th round, Haye sustained an Achilles injury, right? And he was fighting with one leg until the 11th round, and Haye couldn't get none of his power from his legs to hit Bellew. And they come the 11th round, Bellew just dropped Haye out of the ring, and then Shane McGuigan had to throw in the towel because of the Achilles injury that he sustained.
Yeah, I mean, where should I start? I mean, David Haye, the first few rounds, he seemed to be boxing pretty well. To be honest, he was landing his shots on Tony Bellew. He kept missing just by an inch. His timing was very off for David Haye. he didn't look as fast. He looked a bit slower than we've seen him in, a few years back. Tony Bellew looked a little bit fast, actually, in some parts of the early rounds. Tony Bellew, as I say, when he was hit, he seemed to take the punches quite well. David Haye did land a few, but what was really shocking for me, and the thing that stood out more than anything, was David Haye's timing was just completely off. He was swinging wild left hooks and right hooks, and they were missing by miles at some point, which is really unlike David Haye. He was also missing just fractionally as well. Let's talk about that sixth round. That sixth round, David Haye seemed to go backwards. He just walked backwards. He wasn't like he took a shot and it kind of put him on the back foot or anything. He just stepped backwards with his right foot, and he must have landed awkwardly, and that was it. His Achilles snapped. We didn't quite know what was the problem at first. We thought it could have been a knee injury. We thought it could have been an ankle injury. We knew it was definitely something with the right leg. Obviously, since the fight's finished, it's come out that it was an Achilles injury. And it seems like the rumours on fight week that he flew out to Germany and he got advice from one of the top Achilles or top foot doctors, I should say. Can't remember what they're called now, but that seems like it was actually not a rumour. It seems like it was true, even though he was laughing these rumours off on fight week. David Haye, obviously, from that point onwards, he wasn't able to throw his haymaker punch, his big right hand. He wasn't able to, because he really puts his he puts everything into his shots. He really spins off of his feet and punches through his legs, kind of thing. So he wasn't able to do that. He could only throw arm punches at Tony Bellew, which, let's be honest, David Haye can bang, whether it's coming just as an arm punch or if he really pushes off the canvas with it. So he was trying to draw Bellew in. He couldn't really move. He was just standing in the corner, waving Tony Bellew in. Tony Bellew, to his credit, didn't really fall for any traps that Haye was trying to set. Obviously, Haye kept throwing that big left hook with intent to knock Tony Bellew out. And I think that it's obviously hindsight's we know what hindsight is, but it seemed like Tony Bellew David Haye, I should say, may have overlooked Tony Bellew, may have underestimated Tony Bellew. We all know that he was training hard, but I think that when he snapped his Achilles in that fight, it seemed like he still thought, you know what, I can knock him out. And I think most people would have believed that as well. So he hung in there. He went into that fight, it looks like anyway, he went into that fight, if the rumours were true, he went into that fight with an Achilles that wasn't 100%, but he still thought he was going to beat Tony Bellew. Well, let me say a couple of things. Firstly, I would have picked him to win, even with the Achilles problem. I didn't know how severe it was. We didn't know if the rumours were true. That's one thing. Secondly, I just want to say to David Haye fans, and I am one of David Haye's fans, I think that David Haye has got one of, if not the most loyal fan base in British boxing. And I want to say that because we all know of the pullouts he's had. If you're a massive, massive Haye fan that went to that fight knowing he was going to stop Tony Bellew, believing he was going to stop Tony Bellew, like most of us thought, and had everything invested in David Haye. For me, I really liked Tony Bellew. I genuinely wanted the best man to win, even though I thought it was going to be Haye. And yeah, okay, I'll be honest, I did put a bet down, whatever, but I actually sort of wanted Bellew even to win. I really did, because Bellew seems like the more down-to-earth guy, the more accessible guy. You could see it the way, and he's taking selfies with every person that was there. He's a good family man. He's a good father, it seems. That's the type of guy I want to do well. So I wanted him to win. But when it come to fight night, as I say, my money went with Haye. Most people's smart money went with Haye. David Haye didn't. He didn't draw any truth to the fact that the Achilles injury was actual fact rather than a rumour. And if you like, he's not robbed the fans, but he's done a bit of a dirty on some of his fans, because a lot of people were absolutely gutted when they saw what happened. It wasn't really David Haye's fault, but David Haye obviously knew that there was a problem with his Achilles, and he didn't state anything before the fight. So that's not very good. David Haye, obviously, he's pulled out of many fights. When he come back to the O2 against Mark Demori after all that time out and, fought on Dave, everyone stuck with him. He's had great viewings, even at the O2 weigh-in. I remember being there just last week, just at the end of last week, and all the fans was cheering on Haye. Haye has got a huge fan base, a really huge fan base, and I'm one of his biggest fans. I'll tell you a story. When he opened up his gym a couple of years back now, it may have been about not two, it was even more. I think it was maybe 3-4 years ago. He opened up his gym in Vauxhall. He was doing an open day, and I got there I was the first in the queue. I got there hours and hours before it started. I won't even tell you what time I arrived there. It's embarrassing, but I was first in the queue. I was literally, should I say, one of David Haye's biggest fans, and I've been loyal to him, and I love watching David Haye fight. And if you'd have asked me who the one between Haye and Joshua before this weekend, I'd have gone with Haye. Saying that, he fought on from round 6 to round 11 with, he was in real bad pain. He was in a lot of pain. You could see it. He couldn't move. He was just standing there in the corner. He was very unsteady on his feet. And a lot of people have questioned David Haye's heart in the past, many times. He's questioned. His heart's been questioned. I've even heard people say, if Tony Bellew knocks him down, why is he going to get up? He just wants a paycheck. He's all about the money. To a certain extent, maybe he is all about the money. But the thing is, he showed tremendous heart in that fight. Tremendous heart to fight on for 5 rounds with that injury that he had that was clearly affecting his whole game. He was taking a bit of a battering in some parts of the fight. What I don't understand is why he wasn't throwing too many punches. Maybe he was gassing, but the gassing along with the injury really made him quite an easy target for Tony to pick off. And Tony also had a second wind. Everything just really went right for Tony on the night, and it couldn't have gone to a nicer guy in truth. But as I say, David Haye definitely fought with his heart on his sleeve. A real gutsy performance, a real brave performance. And also after the fight finished, and obviously he had the post-fight interview in the ring, he was so, he was congratulating Tony Bellew. He was so nice. And Haye has been called all sorts of names for pulling out his toe and everything like that. All the excuses people say that he pulls out here, there, and everywhere. He was very gracious in defeat, and that was actually refreshing to see. I think that Haye should be given a lot of credit. However, his stock here has took a real nosedive down. It really has. I don't think there's many people now who would pick him to beat Joshua, and I can't really blame those people. Myself, I think after that performance, there's no way he can fight Joshua and win. No way about it. He needs the rematch with Bellew. But for me, I actually think he's probably done now. I think he's done, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does come back to boxing. I've heard from some people inside his camp that he is, in fact, really eyeing up a return, as soon as he can. So, Tony Bellew, great win for him. I think he only wants one more fight. He's calling out some of the other big heavyweights, the likes of Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker. I think those fights are one step too far. Those guys are, a lot taller than him, a lot more natural heavyweights than David Haye is, you should say. So I think that fight's just for the money there. And also, I believe, he's going to just give up his cruiserweight title if he does that. So that'd be a shame. But I think Tony Bellew at this point in his career is thinking about the money now. As I say, David Haye, if he does come back, then, we wish him all the best. But he needs a rematch with Tony Bellew, and he needs to knock Bellew out in brutal fashion like he promised everyone before anyone can invest any more support into him, or belief, I should say, into him to go on and do the things that he said he's going to do, like beat Anthony Joshua, like beat these other heavyweights out there. So I wish David Haye all the best. I wish Tony Bellew all the best, but it's a crazy one. It was a crazy fight. No one could have predicted it. And, we're going to leave that there. But I will just say that Haye, he underwent surgery on his right Achilles. And that was on the Sunday. So just the day after the fight. And he completely ruptured the tendon. That was what happened there. So a horrific injury. But we wish him back. As soon as possible when he's fit enough. But yeah, Tony Bellew now 29-2 with 1 draw. David Haye 28-3, and he was stopped for the second time in his career. It's the third loss. In that 11th round, he got knocked out of the ring, like through the rope sort of thing. He didn't land on the floor, but he kind of rolled into like like the ringside photographers. He kind of rolled into them, but then it was weird because his body, his torso fell out the ring, but his legs were still in. So if you think about that, he had to pull his legs out of the ring and then sort of go in with his torso, then his legs to sort of get him back inside. So he got in at about 8 or 9, and he would have carried on. It just goes to show the heart he's got. For those people that doubt his heart, it should never be thrown into question again. And obviously Shane McGuigan threw in the towel. So, I think it was a good call and a brave call from Shane McGuigan. But as I say, best of luck to both men, and we can't wait to see what's next for both of them. He was also down in round 6 as well, David Haye, I should say. It wasn't like a big knockdown or anything. That's it for the main event. We're going to move down the undercard now. Sam Eggington, 19-3 going into this fight against Paulie Malignaggi, 36-7. Paulie Malignaggi, obviously, the tricky veteran. Sam Eggington coming with all the momentum. He's like a wrecking ball. He just keeps coming forward. We spoke to him obviously a couple of weeks before the fight. Sam Eggington said to me that the timing for this fight was very, very perfect. I agreed with him. I thought he was going to win by stoppage as well. I put a bet on that, and he did do that. Obviously, it was a stoppage win in the 8th round. A brutal body shot that Sam Eggington landed. He also sort of set him up for it as well. It was a bit tricky. It was a bit clever there from Sam Eggington, who doesn't always get the credit for some of the smart moves that he lines up. So he now moves to 20 professional wins, and Paulie Malignaggi, obviously following this loss, decided to retire from boxing. So he's had a long and illustrious career. He's fought just about everybody, so we wish Paulie Malignaggi all the best in retirement. Sam Eggington also in that fight retained his WBC International Welterweight title. Also on the bill, O'Hara Davies. He stepped in against Derry Matthews. O'Hara Davies, obviously 14-0, the WBC Silver Super Lightweight champion. Derry Matthews 38-11 with 2 draws. Derry Matthews, we knew that he was the older guy. He was the veteran. He was in there really to try to knock O'Hara's head off. O'Hara started the fight incredibly well. Very, very confident. Matthews was down twice in the 3rd round, and it was called a halt in round 3. TKO victory there. O'Hara Davies impressed me. I did have him down for the knockout as well, and he did just that. So great win there for O'Hara Davies. And following that fight, Derry Matthews retired. So 2 boxers retired straight after the fight. Let's hope David Haye doesn't do the same thing. But again, Derry Matthews, another man that we've had the pleasure of interviewing on this show, so all the best to Derry Matthews. Also on that bill, down the undercard, Lee Selby picked up a TKO in round 9. He was only scheduled for 10. I was a little bit worried that he wouldn't get him out of there. He had him down in the 1st round as well. But ever since then, as soon as the guy, it was a Spanish guy, Andoni Gargo in the other corner, as soon as he got up from that knockdown, it was a little bit behind the head, to be honest. He sort of hit him downward, in all honesty, Lee Selby. And once he got up, I think Lee Selby kind of thought, Jesus, I don't really want to get him out of here too quick. I do want some rounds in here. It was really a keep busy fight just to stay on the same timeline as Lee Selby's other rivals in that featherweight division. So a good win for Lee Selby there. His record 24 wins now and 1 loss. Andoni Gargo, all credit to him, tough guy. He came to fight. His record 16-3 with 2 draws. We will be speaking to Lee Selby in a short period of time. Also on that bill, Ted Cheeseman moved to 8-0 with a points win over 8 rounds. A good win there for Ted Cheeseman. An explosive fighter, very, very tricky as well. But his opponent, Jack Sellers, was unbeaten as well, 5-0 with 1 draw. His record now 5-1 with 1 draw. The Wrecking Machine, the White Rhino, Dave Allen, 10-2 with 1 draw going into his fight against David Howe, 12-4. David Howe actually was, I believe he was 6'9", so the weight difference, or the height difference I should say, was clear to see. I actually was a little bit worried about that for Dave Allen, but he went in there. He's had 2 fights in the space of 7 days, and he's knocked both men out. The first guy got knocked out in 31 seconds, and this guy, David Howe, despite winning the first round pretty big, he got knocked out in the second round, so a good win there for Dave Allen. It was a brilliant right-left little combination. He went down and he didn't want to get back up. So Dave Allen, all credit to you. Big fans of you here on this show. Your record now 11-2 with 1 draw. Katie Taylor was also on the bill. She moved to 3-0 with a TKO in round 5. It was only scheduled for 6. Her opponent was down from a combo to the head prior to the stoppage. So a good win there for Katie Taylor. Her opponent was a tough woman as well. She got up off the floor. She was ready to carry on, but I think the referee had seen enough. Her record now 6-7. That's Monica Gentili. So Katie Taylor continues to march in a positive manner. Real good fight to her. Going over now to the US at the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, one of the best boxing venues in the world. We're going to start with the undercard. Mario Barrios, he's only 21 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. He moved to 18-0 with a TKO in round 6 over Yardley Suarez, who had a record of 20-6. I thought this was going to be a tough test for Mario Barrios, but to do it in that fashion, very good win there for him. Erickson Lubin looked very strong in that fight as well. He took on Jorge Cota, who had a record of 25-1, and Erickson Lubin done a real job on him. He won every round and then stopped him in good fashion. So a TKO in round 4 there. So Erickson Lubin 18-0, another young promising fighter as well. Andre Fonfara was on this bill. His record 28-4, going in there against former light heavyweight champion of the world, Chad Dawson, who had a record of 34-4. Chad Dawson was actually winning the fight before being stopped in the final round. It was only scheduled for 10, but Chad Dawson just wasn't able to keep Fonfara off of him. I think, he's sort of tired a little bit over the stretch of the rounds. Fonfara, we know he's like a steam train. He just keeps coming. And, at the end of the day, he wore Chad Dawson down, and Chad Dawson ended up getting knocked out. I don't think he was too happy with the stoppage, but, in my eyes, I thought it was fair. So Fonfara gets another name for his record. His record now 29-4. Chad Dawson, what does he do from here? It's very hard to see a way back, to be honest. It's definitely not going to be at the at the sort of world level of the light heavyweight division. So he has to go back to the drawing board and make a big decision. But all he had to do was stay on his feet and not get knocked out. And I know that's easier said than done, but he would have won that fight. But he had it took away from him in the final seconds of the round. Now the main event, Danny Garcia 33-0 going into this fight, unbeaten against Keith Thurman 27-0 going into this fight, unbeaten. Both men putting their world titles on the line. Danny Garcia's WBC World Welterweight title, Keith Thurman's WBA Super World Welterweight title. I picked out that Keith Thurman would win this on points, and I know that I'm sounding like Mr. Cleverclogs, but I picked out all these fights that I talked about, and the David Haye fight was the only one that let me down on my accumulator, so I was gutted. But yeah, I thought that Keith Thurman was going to win on points. I pretty much said it last week on the show that I believe whenever Danny Garcia's come up against one of the sort of elite guys in his division, he hasn't really looked too good. And I believe that a natural 147 like Keith Thurman, I thought would be too big and too strong for him. It didn't turn out to be that kind of fight. It turned out to be, quite a boxing match. Some people were not too happy with the fight. Some people thought it was a bit boring. For me, I actually thought it was a good fight. I did. I know that from the first bell, Keith Thurman was looking to land bombs, and he really landed some great punches on Garcia, especially in the first round. Garcia's got a hell of a chin. Both men have got great chins. Both men, real power punches as well. Keith Thurman, in parts of the fight, neglected the jab. So did Danny Garcia, and I believe that those two factors there, they don't really use their jabs very effectively, both guys. So it was always going to make for a possible fight that could end in a knockout. It didn't turn out that way. I believe last week's show, Eddie Chambers went with Danny Garcia to win, even with a late stoppage. He thought he was wrong. So yeah, I mean, Keith Thurman, as I say, he landed some great shots, and the fact that they both neglect the jab is the thing where I think that Kell Brook could come into a fight with either of these guys and possibly do a job on them. I think that that's a great fight, and hopefully we see Kell Brook in with one of these guys. The champion would be nice, Keith Thurman. So obviously Keith Thurman won this fight via a split decision. after 12 rounds. I'm really, really surprised by that. Danny Garcia's been very, very lucky on the judges' scorecards, more times than I want to remember in boxing. One judge scoring it to him 7 rounds to 5. I believe another judge scoring it to Furman 7 rounds to 5, and I think another judge maybe gave it 8-4 in favour of Furman. So the right man won. It shouldn't have been a split decision. I didn't score the fight, but I definitely thought it was about 8 rounds to 4. Some people even had it like 10 rounds to 2. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange one when they said it was a split. I just thought, oh no, here we go again. So a disgraceful decision from one of the judges, but a great boxing match, you know, as a whole. Keith Furman now 28-0. He's the new WBC world champion, and of course he retains his WBA super world title. Ayaz, I know that you watched this fight as well. I know that this was a fight that we were both looking forward to for a very long time, to be honest. What did you make of that scrap?
I thought Furman did very good. He's, for a 147 guy, he's very big for a 147. I was watching after the post-fight conference, right, when they said that, when Steve Bunn said he'll have probably 2 or 3 more fights at 147, or if he'll move up to 154, Keith Furman. When they went to the scorecards, the first judge gave to Keith Furman, and the second judge gave to Danny Garcia. I was like, wait a minute, does the judge know what they're watching? It was Keith Furman that was actually winning this fight.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I thought it was probably, I didn't score it, but I thought it was about 8-4, something like that. I definitely can't understand how anyone can give it to Danny Garcia. I don't think anybody gave it to Danny Garcia online. I was religiously checking Twitter to see how everyone else had it, as they was, you know, reeling in the verdict sort of thing when they was all in the ring waiting for it. A good fight though, a good unification fight. Credit to both men for taking the fight. It was a hard one. Danny Garcia now 33-1, and that loss has come. Finally, he's got that loss on paper. We know that he's lost a couple of fights not on paper, and they've gone down with the incorrect decision in many eyes, including mine. So he's finally got a loss on paper. He should have a few by now. But all the best to Keith Furman, all the best to Danny Garcia as well. To be honest, you know, it's tough for him. If there's a rematch, which I believe he's seeking, then that's a chance to get his titles back. But aside from that, you've got the Kell Brook and Errol Spence situation. I can't really see, you know, what's going to happen there. Furman, you know, if that rematch doesn't come off, then I think he's going to have to wait around for a little bit. But hey, there's going to be some people that he wouldn't mind fighting because it's a packed division. Obviously, you've got Andre Berto and Sean Porter tied up. You've got Manny Pacquiao. Is he going to be fighting Amir Khan? What's he going to be doing? We don't know. So yeah, it's a bit of a confusing division at the moment in welterweight. But I'm sure that Danny Garcia will try to get his way back into the titles. But to be honest, I always thought he was better at 140. I don't know, it's just me. But hey, that's it for the reviewing. We've done all the reviewing, we've done all the talking about last week's fights. The last thing we do before we end part 1 is the same as every week. We're going to welcome our first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the current IBF World Featherweight Champion, fresh from his win on the Haye versus Bellew undercard, Mr. Lee Selby. Lee, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, Lee, you know that. Now, I was looking back and I saw that we last spoke with you 28 weeks ago. And in that time, we've had your brother on twice. Obviously, a lot has gone on in that time. The first question, Lee, is we all know about the frustrations you had in Las Vegas going out there to defend your title. It was a boyhood dream of yours. You said it yourself. You were almost in tears when the fight fell through just hours before taking place. How are you feeling about that whole situation now, Lee?
No, it's not too bad. No, I've recently boxed and got a bit of the frustration and how to take out of my system. But at the time, I was obviously devastated. That's a dream for any fighter from wherever you're from, to do boxing in Las Vegas, either challenging or defending for the world title. It got taken away from me so close to the fight, literally 15 minutes before I was supposed to weigh in. They told me the fight was off. So as you can imagine, I was devastated, but I tried to stay professional. We the fight got called on the Friday. We went to the gym Monday, trained, drove to Los Angeles on a Wednesday, sparred, and then the fight got rescheduled. So we need to focus on
Yeah, absolutely. And now, as I mentioned, and as you mentioned there, you fought just recently. Obviously, it was just this weekend gone on the Haye versus Bellew undercard against Andoni Gargo, which was obviously, a Spanish boxer that we didn't know too much about. It was really just a keep busy fight for you to keep on the same time scale as the other guys that you've got your eye on in the division. After the fight, you went over to the camera and said, "Easy peasy lemon squeezy." Was that what it was, Lee?
That's exactly what it was. But he was a tough guy. Like my management who picked out Andoni Gargo, they did their research in Spain, and they all told him he was a very tough guy. He wouldn't be stopped. So that's why they picked him. They wanted me to get the rounds in. They wanted someone to come at me and have a go. But he went down in the first round. I was praying he'd get back up because I needed the ring time really. And luckily he got up, and then we carried him to the 9th round and took him out.
Yeah. The Spaniard came to win, and obviously he gave it his all. But it was clear to see the depth in class from the first bell. I actually had money on you to win that fight by a knockout, by the way, and I must admit, well done. But it was part of an accumulator, and Haye messed up my whole bet. So I was happy for a few minutes, but I must admit, by the later rounds, I wasn't sure the knockout was going to come, but it seemed to be part of the plan. You stepped it up a gear and immediately took him out when you wanted to. So on to the next one. You've been asking for a big fight now for quite a long time. You mentioned that you've spoken to your advisor, Al Heyman, and he's giving you 3 names for your next fight: Carl Frampton, Abner Mares, and Leo Santa Cruz. If I'm not mistaken, you'd like the Carl Frampton fight above all. Is that purely because everybody loves an all-British scrap, or do you see him as the most beatable or the easiest to get the deal done with? What is it, Lee?
To be honest, I just think it's the biggest fight for me. It's the biggest fight in the UK. Everybody in boxing in the UK wants to see that fight. I recently ran like a Twitter poll to see who the fans wanted me to fight next. And the options I put up was Carl Frampton, Abner Mares, Leo Santa Cruz, and Gary Russell Jr. And I think it was like 80% of the voters chose Carl Frampton. So I think it's the fight that everybody wants to see. And it's it'd be a massive event for the UK.
And would that fight most likely take place in the UK, you believe?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it makes sense. He's obviously Irish, I'm British, I'm Welsh. So either Cardiff or Belfast, I see it taking place.
And have you got any idea, any kind of date at the moment when you could next be out, any kind of month or anything?
Well, if it is a fight against Carl Frampton, it'd have to be the summertime. Because if it took place in Belfast, they're talking about a stadium over there. And if we box in Cardiff, it's too big for any indoor arena in Cardiff, so it'd have to be either a football state, like Cardiff City Football Ground or something like that over here. So it'd have to be the summertime. So maybe end of May, the earliest. May, June, July, August.
Okay. And what did you make of the fight outcome, the Bellew and Haye fight? Obviously, no one saw that coming. What did you make of it all, Lee?
No one saw it coming, but I noticed my brother picked Bellew to win. It surprised me, but he got it right. And he probably had a little tipple on it too. Had a little bet. But from USA, you could blame on the injury for Haye, but then from the first ball, it looked from where I was sat that Bellew was sort of in control of the fight. He was boxing nice, moving. But it surprised me. I expected Haye to be the winner. And like just as I thought that what I said to my partner I was sat with, that the fights gone into like a little pattern and starting to get boring. And all of a sudden they just went toe to toe, started swinging big shots, and they come to life.
Yeah, it was definitely a strange one. Obviously, just recently, Josh Warrington's announced that he's taking on Kiko Martinez. Any interest in that one at all, Lee?
No interest whatsoever.
I thought so.
No.
I thought so.
Kiko Martinez, he's a nice guy. I went over there before the second fight with Frampton, and I had him get ready for that. I sparred with him, and he's a nice guy. I wish him all the best. He can punch very, very hard. Yeah. I was sparring with him when he had 18-ounce gloves on. He could punch very hard.
Yeah.
He could knock anybody out if he catches him right. If you check his amateur record, I'm sure he had about 40 fights, and I might be mistaken, but I'm sure he knocked all of them out, or maybe like 2 or 3 went a distance or something.
Wow.
He can punch.
Very
big puncher.
Sure. Do you see him beating Warrington?
It depends what he got left. I think he's top war now and he's well past his best. But they say a fighter, the last thing to lose is their punch, and he can certainly punch.
Yeah, fair.
And in boxing, anything can happen, like you seen Saturday night.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything.
And any update on your brother Andrew? When's he next out, Lee, if you know?
I think he'll be fighting in May. Maybe out in May, I think. Yeah.
And finally, Lee, just before I let you go, I just wanted to bring up, obviously, the Dean Francis situation. You've decided to put your boxing shorts that you worn on the weekend, the fight against Andoni Gargo, on auction. I believe that the bids, if I'm not mistaken, are at about £800 now?
Yeah, something like that, around like $850. Someone like closed the bid on Friday, and whatever money's raised, I'm gonna take it over to Dean Francis, and it's gonna help him try and find some sort of cure or some help to like prolong his life, or maybe even cure his cancer. There's like a Just Giving page going on Facebook. They're trying to raise some money to do the same thing too.
And that's a real nice touch from yourself, Lee. For anybody that may be listening, that may be interested in trying to get involved in the bidding, all they've got to do is tweet you an amount. Is that right?
Yeah, well, what I've done, I've put out a post on my Facebook fan page, my personal page, on Twitter and Instagram. So any one of them, just leave a bid in the comments, and I'll get back to you.
Brilliant stuff, Lee. Very nice touch. Listen, thanks once again for making time for us. You and your brother are always a pleasure to speak to. You know that.
No problem. Thank you.
We'll look out for what's next for you, my friend, and no doubt we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the preview part. But before we get into that, the man himself is here. It's Ayaz Sumra with this week's latest boxing news.
Right. Sean Porter will fight Andre Berto on April the 22nd.
Yes, obviously that's the week before the Joshua Klitschko fight. I did kind of just say it a couple of minutes ago, just before the Lee Selby interview just there. But yeah, I let it slip. But no, it's a decent fight, I suppose. I mean, in my honest opinion, I think Berto's way past it. I think Sean Porter, his style, the way he's a pressure fighter, the way he's a bit of a... He fights, he turns fights into a bit of a dogfight, and I don't think at this part in Berto's career he's got a fight like that left in him. I don't think, when I say a dogfight, I don't mean like a like a bloody brawl kind of thing. I mean, it's like fighting up close. He's on your chest all the time. He doesn't stop coming forward, Sean Porter. And I just don't think that Berto really has got enough fight in him to keep him off him. It could be interesting, but for me, I think Sean Porter wins that relatively easy. Probably, maybe even by stoppage, actually, I will go and say. That's it for that one. Let's bring in the next one.
Right, Gervonta Davis will fight Liam Walsh on May the 20th.
Yes, I was at the press conference earlier this week in the Savoy Hotel, London. Yeah, it was good. It was good to see all the guys on the top table. Obviously, Frank Warren, Liam Walsh, and then from Mayweather's team, Mayweather himself, Floyd Mayweather, his fighter Gervonta Davis, a man that we've had on this very show, and Leonard Ellaby, the CEO of Mayweather Promotions. It was a good press conference, actually. It was one of those press conferences where you just felt something special was going on. What really interested me is Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather, the great champion he is, TBE, maybe people say he could be, maybe he's not. He never fought outside of the US as a professional fighter at all. Throughout his whole career, he did not step foot out of the US and box. Gervonta Davis, who is really, I don't want to say he's number one guy, because that might be a bit unfair on the other guys, but he is the hottest thing in the Mayweather stable. Gervonta Davis, he's knocked out, I believe, all but one or two of his opponents. He's a world champion. He's the youngest world champion in boxing right now. He is on fire right now. He's a tank. He's incredible. He is a monster. He's a beast. So, to bring him over here for his first defense of his world title after a spectacular stoppage win over Jose Pedraza, who was the champion, who was also unbeaten. That was a great fight. Some thought it was a bit too early for Gervonta. He went in there, he done the business. He's defending his title in his first defense over in the UK, which for me shows the intent that Frank Warren has with this new deal with BT Sports. It shows the intent that he's bringing champions over here to defend their titles. So that's great news for British boxing fans. We hopefully are going to see more of it coming in the future with Frank Warren, with Eddie Hearn, and again, British boxing's booming. It's going to be a brilliant fight, and I'm looking forward to the 20th of May.
Tyson Fury will return to the ring on May the 13th.
Yes, right now I've seen a few different sort of statements, not official statements from any sanctioning bodies or any board of controls or anything like that, but I've seen a few quotes, and I believe that the British Boxing Board of Control are basically saying that they're not going to license him due to whatever reason. Again, I don't know the ins and outs, but he has said that he's prepared to go and get a boxing license from, you know, a different country or whatever, and come here to box. So yeah, it doesn't really make too much difference. I know that Tyson Fury and the British Boxing Board of Control have never had a great relationship. So yeah, if he returns to action, just sort of 2 months time from now, it'd be great. You know, we've missed him very much, but any photos that anybody's seen of him of late, he looks really big. So I'm not sure what sort of shape he can get in with just 2 months, with, you know, ballooning up to what he has done, or what it looks like he has done in certain pictures. But nonetheless, you know, big or small, out of shape or not, he's always you know, put on an exciting fight. And yes, it's great to have him back in boxing. I'm looking for an official announcement. Hopefully we get it in the coming days, but it's exciting news for the boxing fans of the UK.
During the fight between David Haye and Tony Bellew broke his hand, and David Haye sustained an Achilles injury.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the David Haye injury. It's also come out that Tony Bellew has broken his hand. You know, it's an interesting thing. Nobody knew this at the time, but it's come out after the fight's finished. So yeah, maybe that's the reason why Tony Bellew wasn't able to finish David Haye. You know, maybe that was it. I don't know what round that happened in, but again, we wish both men the best of luck and both men speedy recoveries.
Callum Smith will travel to America to face Anthony Durrell.
Yes, obviously the purse bids went out for this, you know, last week, and the purse bid was won by TGB Promotions, which I haven't actually heard of them, but obviously they're the people looking after Anthony Durrell. It's for the vacant WBC super middleweight title, which obviously Badu Jack vacated when he moved up to light heavyweight. So yeah, it was a $1.6 million bid by TGB Promotions that won the bid. They outbid Eddie Hearn, which was a bit of a surprise for me, because I actually thought that, you know, Callum Smith's a promising prospect. Some say he's the best prospect in world boxing. I really thought that Eddie Hearn would have come in with a monstrous bid to get it over here. I really did. I don't know, maybe the money or whatever is something that Callum Smith fancies, or maybe they're just so confident that they think they can win the fight wherever it is, and for that reason they're prepared to travel for it. But I just thought, with the amount of fighters he's got that are from Liverpool, he could have put on a big card in Callum Smith's hometown, and, you know, he would have had the home advantage, and it would have all been quite a good thing. But as I say, he's been outbid, and it looks like he's going to be fighting in the US. I'd imagine that's where it's going to be. But yeah, I was pretty surprised. The $1.6 million bid, and they won the bids for that. So yeah, all the best to Callum Smith, another man that we've had on this show, another man with huge star potential, and we really hope to see him become the new WBC super middleweight champion very soon. Is there any more news for us, Ayaz?
No, Joey, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Ayaz, for this week's news. We're going to crack on now with the preview part of the show. One fight to mention over in the Metro City, Northbridge, Western Australia. One fight to mention on this bill, as I say, Vic Darchinyan, former world champion, 42-9 with one draw, takes on Manat Komput, who has a record of 13-16. It's a 6-rounder at super bantamweight. Strange one, this. Vic Darchinyan obviously coming off of a loss, so, well, I suppose we'll forgive him a little bit, but yeah, you've got to mention it. He's still, you know, a big name fighter. That's it for Australia. Going over now to Japan at the Korakuen Hall in Tokyo. Top of the bill over there, Tomoki Kameda, 32-2. Those two losses to our good friend Jamie McDonnell. He's in a 10-rounder against Pipat Chaiporn, who has a record of 42-9 with 1 draw, so that should be pretty interesting. Also on that bill, Hisashi Amagasa. We've seen him in there, I think last time I watched one of his fights, I think he lost to Josh Warrington, if I'm not mistaken. His record 31-6 with 2 draws. Tough guy though, and he takes on Kinshiro Yusui, who has a record of 27-4. I don't know too much about those two opponents, I'm not going to lie to you. That's it for Japan. Moving over now to the Waterfront Hall in Belfast, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom. Top of the bill, Jamie Conlan, 18-0. He's always in an exciting fight. He takes on Yeda Cordoza, who has a record of 22-10 with 1 draw. So Jamie Conlan, he never fails to deliver for exciting fights. He's been in a few barn burners. Some fights that really shouldn't have been barn burners have turned into it, so that's definitely a fight that I won't be missing. This one's for the vacant WBC International Silver Super Flyweight title, so good luck to Jamie Conlan there. Also on that bill, Declan Geraghty gets out again. He takes on James Tennyson. A good fight this one. It's for the vacant Irish Super Featherweight title. Con Sheehan gets out again. He's 4-0. He looks to move to 5-0. This is a heavyweight clash over 8 rounds. Of course, Con Sheehan being looked after by Peter Fury. Also on that bill, Paddy Barnes. He's been on our show before, just after his first fight. So this is his second fight. His opponent yet to be announced. Phil Sutcliffe Jr. is on this one as well. He was in a good fight last time out. He's in his 14th professional contest. Kevin Satchel also on this bill. He looks to pick up his 17th career win. His opponent yet to be announced. And finally, Gary Corcoran also on this bill in his 17th professional outing. A man that, again, we've had on the show before. We wish Gary Corcoran the best of luck. That's it for Northern Ireland. We're now going over to the MGM Grand, Detroit. Okay, the MGM Grand in Detroit, Michigan, USA. One fight to mention over here, really. It's a female. It's Clarissa Shields, the double Olympic champion. This is her second professional fight. Of course, she's 1-0 at the moment. She takes on a lady called Sylvia Sabados, who has a record of 15-8. This one's for the vacant NABF female middleweight title, so all the best to Clarissa Shields. I doubt she's going to need it, to be honest. She really is one of a kind. That's it for the US. Moving over now to Australia, going back over there to the Rumours International. That is the name of the venue, the Rumours International. It's in Toowoomba in Australia. That's it for the pronunciations. Former world champion Michael Katsidis, he's on this bill, 31-7. His record at the moment. He takes on Josh King, who has a record of 20-4. It's a super lightweight bout over 8 rounds, so all the best to both men there. That's it for Australia. Moving over now to Germany. This one's gone under the radar this week. This one shocked me. I was looking to see what fights were on this week, and it jumped out at me. I couldn't believe it was happening this week. I really have not heard many people talking about it. Jack Kulkai defending his WBA World Super Welterweight title, so his WBA 154 title. His record 22-1. He takes on the undefeated Demetrius Andrade, who has a record of 23-0. And we know that Andrade is a brilliant fighter. He's definitely one of the most underrated fighters in world boxing. His inactivity kept him out of the minds of the boxing fans for quite a while, and since he's come back, he looks pretty explosive. He knocks people out. He's a master boxer. A lot of people saying he's going to probably go over there to Germany, knock out the champion and take home a belt. Again, we wish Andrade the best of luck. I'll probably say his name wrong. Andrade, I think it is. So he doesn't need much luck. He's a phenomenal fighter. He's one of my most exciting fighters to watch. I really like watching Andrade. He's a great fighter. Of course, we've seen him in there against Brian Rose. That was a fight we didn't like watching. But yeah, a good fighter, Andrade. And of course, he's going to probably take that belt back to the US. And also on that undercard, a fight again that surprised me. Gamal Yafai is on the bill. So good for him to go on the road in Germany and get out over there. His record at the moment, 10-0. He's in a 6-rounder at super bantamweight against Kavicha Gigalashvili, who has a record of 14-17. So Gamal Yafai, we know he's class. He should do the job on him. Moving over now to Ghana, the Bukom Boxing Arena in Accra. Top of the bill over there, Richard Comey, 24-2. He takes on Heidi Slimani, who has a record of 26-2. Richard Comey had a very unlucky, I'd say, year last year. we know that he can really, really bang. He can punch holes in walls. And last year he come up very, very short, winning, of course, or trying to win the IBF world title. And obviously we know Richard Commey's class. He's a banger, and he's always in exciting fights. It's probably going to be a nice homecoming. Like I say, he had 2 losses last year in very, very, very close fights that could have gone either way. So he's been very unlucky. He goes back to Ghana, a nice little homecoming. He's going to probably put on a show for his home support. Probably another spectacular knockout. This one's for the vacant WBC International Silver lightweight title. So all the best of luck to Richard Commey. Moving back now to the US, 2 more bills to go over here. Top of the bill over here in the MGM National Harbour in Oxon Hill, Maryland, USA. Gary Russell Jr., 27-1. He puts his WBC World Featherweight title on the line against Oscar Escandon, who has a record of 25-2. Should be a good fight, this one. We know that Gary Russell Jr. is truly, truly a real talent. Some would say he's the best featherweight in the division. Some would say that he's class, Gary Russell Jr. That only one loss coming to Lomachenko. There's no shame in that. But Gary Russell gets out again. He's been pretty inactive, so I'm looking forward to his return. Also on that bill, Jamel Charlo, 28-0. This is the Charlo that hasn't just moved up in weight. This is the Charlo that still holds a belt in the 154 division. He puts his WBC World Super Welterweight title on the line against Charles Hatley, who, if I'm not mistaken, is his mandatory challenger. Charles Hatley, 26-1 with 1 draw. Should be a good fight, but I think Jamel Charlo, the skill set he's got, he's a clever boxer, and again, he can bang. So, it should be a decent little bang up, this one. It's gone under the radar. Again, a lot of fights this week have gone under the radar. So, again, all the best to both men there. Jamel Charlo, a class fighter. And finally, the final bill to mention, a couple of fights on the undercard I want to go to first. This one's at the Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York, USA. Starting with the undercard, 2 fights to mention on the undercard. Diego De La Hoya, his record at the moment, a perfect 16-0. Of course, this is the cousin of Oscar De La Hoya. He takes on Roberto Puchetta, who has a record of 10-9 with 1 draw. Diego De La Hoya looking to move to 17-0. It's an 8-rounder at super bantamweight, that one. Also on this bill, return of Yuriorkis Gamboa. It's always good to see him fight, of course, former world champion, class fighter as well. He's only lost to Terence Crawford. His record 25-1. He takes on Rene Alvarado, who has a record of 24-7. It's a 10-rounder at lightweight, so that one should be good. And the top of the bill now, this one as well, you can watch this card on Box Nation. Top of the bill, David Lemieux, 36-3. A real banger, former world champion, of course, losing to Golovkin last year. I believe it was last year. He takes on Curtis Stevens, who has a record of 29-5. Both men don't really like each other. There's a bit of bad blood there. I believe it's more on Curtis Stevens' side, but both men have lost to Gennady Golovkin. Both men were stopped by Gennady Golovkin. Curtis Stevens put up a decent fight. David Lemieux put up a decent fight. So it's going to be interesting to see. Both guys, as I say, were stopped by Gennady Golovkin, and they both headline a bill here. It's not for any title, but it's a 12-rounder at middleweight, so it should be pretty exciting, that one. But may the best man win. I've got no invested loyalty in either of them, but it should be a good fight. And that's really it for the previewing. We've done all the talking, we've done the reviewing, we've done the news, and the previewing is just finished. We've got one last thing to do, of course, before we end part 2 and end the show, and that, of course, is to welcome our second and final guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a man coming off 2 knockout wins in just 7 days. It's, of course, the White Rhino, Dave Allen. Dave, welcome to the show.
Very much, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Hey man, it's my pleasure, you know that. Now firstly, Dave, I want to talk to you about the first fight you had. Obviously you fought, 7 days apart. We didn't really get a chance to speak with you. The first fight was on the Gavin McDonnell undercard in Hull. You beat your opponent in 31 seconds of the first round. It didn't last very long at all. How was that experience for you firstly, Dave?
Yeah, it was good, It was my first fight since the Ortiz fight. It was I hadn't won in 11 months. I've lost to Dylan White, lost to Ortiz. All of a sudden, I'm facing a cruiserweight with 28 losses. So, there was more pressure really there because, you lose to him, it's game over. I never thought I was going to lose, but he was tough. He'd gone the distance with numerous world champions. I just caught him on top of the head with one, really. I think he's an old man that's gone pretty soft. But, I did exactly what I should have done, really. I took him apart in 31 seconds. Like you say, I didn't do anything that I shouldn't have done. It was just nice to get. It was a bit of confidence and a win. A win I looked good doing it, I thought, and it set me up nicely for the Haye Bellew show. I need a good performance, ready to turn around and say, right, you can fight on there now.
Yeah, and like I say, it was a good performance from yourself. So just 7 days later, which was last weekend, you was on the Haye vs Bellew undercard. You fought David Howe, who he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was 6'9". Like, the height difference was crazy. Now, David Howe actually had a good first round. I think I probably gave him that round, in all honesty. Yeah. It all went wrong for him in the second round when you took him out in brutal fashion. Did you enjoy that one, Dave?
Yeah, like you said, the first round, David Howe won the first round, but David Howe came out like it was a one-round fight, really. Put everything into the first round just to keep me off him. And it was a 6-round fight, so... people say I got hit too much, but David Howe, really, when he's 6'8", 6'9", he's got a good record. I know the man, I've been in the gym with the man, he can really box. So the first round, he did win the first round, but I kind of assumed that was going to happen anyway, unless I caught him with one. He can box, so... That was a better result than the week before. David Howe, he does fall apart, capitulate, and he maybe is a bit dodgy around the whiskers, but he can really box. So that result I am happy with. In the second round, when I calmed down, and David Howe, kind of gassed out a little bit because he put so much keeping me off in the first, I was quite happy with the performance. Really, it was a good win. And boxing down at the O2, it was good. So I'm more happy with the Howe fight than I am with the other one, even though I won in 31 seconds.
Yeah, but no, it was a good win, and like I say, on a big stage as well, so brilliant exposure for yourself. Obviously, you were supposed to be on the Crawler Bill on the 25th of this month. I believe that's probably not happening now, so you're likely to be on a bill in about 5 weeks' time. Where is it again? Yeah,
Eddie's just saying he wants me to get in the gym. When you fight every other week, you don't really get a chance to train, you don't really get a chance to bring your weight down. You're doing a bit of training, then you're easing off again. So Eddie just wants to give me a bit more time to get some weight off, get some work in the gym. So it's looking like the 15th in Glasgow or 22nd in Liverpool. So it gives us a bit of time to get back in the gym, shift a little bit of weight. I still got about a stone to lose to get down to my optimal weight. Still a lot of work to do in the gym. A hell of a lot of work, obviously. I've only had 14 fights. I'm making a lot of mistakes. I'm still very novice because, like I said, not much amateur background, so I'm very novice still. Only really my physical strength and the fact I can punch a little bit and I'm tough, that's getting me through, that's getting me past these guys. I'm still not in optimum shape or doing things to the best of my ability in the ring, so we're a long way off. Eddie's going to have me another 6-rounder, my next fight, then an 8-rounder. Then I think we're going to step up and box for a title. I'm not sure what the title that is yet, but yeah, we're going to step it up after the next 2 fights if the correct improvements are made.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. And also, after I think it was this last win that you had, I think it was that one. It might have been the one before, I can't remember now. But Ian Lewison put out a tweet saying, if you're ready, let's fight. I know that you sort of responded as if like, hey, let me enjoy my win first, before we start talking about it. When you mention about a title fight coming maybe in about 2-3 fights' time, is that the man that you're looking at?
Yeah, Ian Lewison's the man that I got a lot of respect for. I think he's a good fighter. I think an in-shape Ian Lewison is as dangerous as any fighter out there. He can definitely punch, and if he's in shape, he's got a very good chance of putting it on you as well. So, I've taken it one fight at a time now. I used to be rushing about, but my next fight is the biggest fight. Your next fight is always the big one. I boxed Luis Ortiz, but as soon as that was done and I was fighting the Polish fella, he became the most important fight I've ever had. It's always the next one's most important one. So I'm not looking past it. I'm not even though I'm boxing yet, but I'm not going to look past him. I think me and Ian Lewison's a tremendous fight. For Sexton and Cornish, you go box for the British. I'm not going to fight Ian Lewison in an 8-rounder, I'm not going to fight him in a 10-rounder. I'm only going to fight Ian Lewison for the title, and I believe he will think the same. Because we both know that's going to be a really hard fight for each other. So it just depends what's on the table. If they come to me and say you can fight Ian Lewison for the Commonwealth title, then that's an opportunity I'm not going to pass up. But these fights have got to be at the right time for myself. and they've got to be something on the line to fight him on that end. And I do have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a good fighter.
Yeah, and that's a fight I would like to see, I've got to be honest. Obviously, Dave, I know that you like to fight pretty regularly. I know that, maybe not every weekend, but I know that fighting regularly is your cup of tea. Why is that? Why do you like fighting so regularly? If you could fight, I know if it was up to you, you'd like to fight probably every month, I'd say, at least.
Yeah, I want to be on the colourful, but I can understand what Eddie's saying. There's a lot of improvements that need to be made. My weight needs to come down, and that's not possible to do that when I'm fighting every week, So I just like to be busy. I just like to fight. I just like to be out there. And I think the more you fight, the sharper you are, the more aware you are. The nerves get less and less every time you get in there. Because I'm not experienced. I'm still learning on the job. And these shows that I'm on now, these aren't in front of 500-600 people. There was 17,000 capacity the other day. There wasn't that many when I boxed, but it just gets easier. The more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more times you do it in close succession, it just gets easier and easier. So it's still pretty busy. 2 fights in a week and then 1 5 weeks later, still very busy. So the fact that Matchroom and Eddie are working with me now, this is going to be the making of me. So I'm putting the effort in the gym. And, hopefully when I box in 5 weeks or 6 weeks' time in Glasgow, Liverpool, we'll start to see a major difference because I've had a little bit of time to train in between.
I've got to be honest, speaking to you now compared to speaking to you probably the first time I think we had you on the show, you sound a different man. You actually, before you were kind of like, I think you sort of threw yourself into that Dillian Whyte fight, maybe even perhaps the Ortiz fight. Now it seems like you're a little bit more composed, a little bit more understanding of the business of boxing. It seems. Yeah,
I took the Whyte fight and the Ortiz fight. I didn't. At that point, my career was it wasn't really going anywhere. So I had to take the Whyte fight. It was a fight I couldn't really turn down, And then the Ortiz fight was a similar situation. But now, I've got a really big chance. I know the chance that I've got. I've got Eddie with Matchroom, willing to, if I train hard and get the results, there's nothing stopping me whatsoever. I've got everything in my favour. So I know that now. And, I know what all I've got to do is get in the gym, train hard, get in the ring and perform. And I can go as far as I want to go, because I've got the backing. Whereas before, it was just kind of like, where is it really going? But now I've got confidence. After the Ortiz fight, I've got a lot of confidence in my ability. The last 2 wins have done nothing but make my confidence grow. So what it is now is I've got confidence in my ability now, and I think I always knew I could fight, but now I know that these men at world level aren't supermen, and it's a level that I can really be confident of getting to. So that's the main difference.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I truly am, and I really, really am. I'm proud of you. Now, I want to talk about the main event last weekend, Haye versus Bellew, the outcome. I know that we spoke at the weigh-in, and I think that we both agreed it was going to probably be a Haye fight, a Haye win, I should say. That wasn't the way it went. What did you make of it?
Yeah, on first watch, because Bellew was having a little bit of success and he was taking the shots, I kind of thought Bellew was well in the fight. I watched the fight back. I think Haye was well in control before the injury. And Haye looks, Haye looked very heavy, but he looks in very good shape, until the injury happened. And that just kind of turned the fight on its head. We'll never know what would have happened without the injury. Maybe Bellew would have put the pressure on him and Haye would have folded anyway. I don't know. But as it was, Haye was in control. But one of the things we'll never know now. Hopefully we'll get the rematch. I think that'll be the best fight for both men. I don't really want to see Bellew fight Furies in the Wildest. I think they're real super heavyweights. And it's not really a fight I'm interested in him having. So hopefully it can happen again, and hopefully Haye comes and is 100% ready and fit, and we get a great fight again. Because one thing you can say about the fight, there was a lot of drama and it was very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we do see a rematch, but yeah, I agree. I think going for someone who's 6'7", 6'6" might be a little bit too far. Even though he's had a bit of a dream journey, to be honest, Tony Bellew. And the final real question I've got for you, Dave. I know that we've spoke a little bits about it, but I don't think we've actually said it or spoke about it properly on the show. Next month, we're very, very closing in now on the big heavyweight clash, Wembley Stadium, 90,000 people. Vladimir Klitschko, Anthony Joshua. I know people ask you this on Twitter almost every single day, who you reckon's going to win. So sorry to fray at you once again, but let us know. What do you think?
I do honestly think that if Klitschko from any time from 2014 before that would deal with Anthony Joshua at this stage very comfortably. But, this is a Klitschko who's 41 now, who's been out of the sport for 18 months. And the last time we saw him, he got comprehensively outboxed by Tyson Fury. So is this the same man? I'm edging towards Klitschko just because I think Joshua can't do what Fury can do. He's not going to come out and frustrate him and make him miss and move, and he hasn't got that size advantage. So I think they're both going to be stood up tall in front of each other. I think it's going to be a case of whoever hits the other one first on the chin. There's a lot of rumours going around. Joshua's been getting done in sparring a lot. Klitschko obviously, he's never took the greatest shot. I really think it's going to come down to who hits who first on the chin. And I think Joshua's really got to just put it on Klitschko, because I think he's just got to put it on him straight away. He's not going to outbox Klitschko. He's not going to out-jab him. So, for them reasons, that I think Klitschko will win the battle of the jabs. And I just think obviously the experience in that more experience in the big fights. I don't think Joshua having, Breezy-Al, Molina and Charles Martin is good enough in a run-up to fight Vladimir Klitschko. Unless Klitschko gets old overnight, I'm making him a favourite over Joshua.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree, to be honest, Dave. And finally, I just wanted to say, I wanted to give you an opportunity really to get anything else off your chest that I may have not asked you, anything at all you want to let any listeners know.
No, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone who's listening to this, my journey so far, which is what it's been, it's been a mad one really. It's a lot of it, been down to what's been going on social media, they've kind of been on Eddie's case, and so it's just a big thank you to everyone really. Sometimes the only pressure I feel is I don't want to let these people down, because there's been a hell of a lot of support lately, and it's appreciated, and I don't forget it.
Now listen, Dave, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, my friend. Once again, congrats on your 2 recent wins. Have a good birthday in just a couple of weeks' time. So everybody listening to this, make sure you rein in with the happy birthday tweets to Dave. And listen, we'll look forward to the next knockout win for you.
Thanks very much, mate. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time to conclude what has been episode 73 of the Boxhard podcast. A special thank you to our 2 guests on this week's show, the IBF Featherweight Champion of the World, Mr. Lee Selby, and the new and improved version of the White Rhino, Dave Allen. It's been a pleasure making this show. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Remember, you can leave us a review on iTunes if you've got a spare minute. We'll be back next week with another big show. As always, until next time, take care.